jump in straight ahead to our keynote address. Learning and development expense on investment in today's climate. Our speaker is Edward Matti, Managing Partner, TAC International Middle East. Edward is an experienced leader with 14 years experience with the largest financial services firm in Canada. He has a track record of business achievements within the fields of wealth management and private banking. As the regional director, he was involved in recruitment, training, mentoring, and public speaking, advisory. Currently managing partner with Group CCM SAL, partner to TAC International Middle East. He is involved with workshop design, client relations, and a variety of management mandates. As a senior training consultant with the group, Edward delivers workshops on sales, leadership, and personal development. Please put your hand together for Edward. Edward.
Good morning. Forgive me, I don't usually stand at a podium, so I'm going to move around a little bit. If it gets a little confusing, just let me know and I'll try to station myself in one place. First off, before getting started, I want to thank everybody for being here. This is a true testament to the investment that you make in your companies and in yourself in coming out to these summits to learn a little bit more, to find out what you can bring back to your companies and effectively improve people's lives. And I really like the fact that Mr. Majid brought up how HR companies, or HR functions, I should say, lead companies. There's a lot to be said about that and the impact that you have on other people on a daily basis with the functions that you do. I also want to thank Nasiba for the conference at the summit itself and the work that puts into this. Certainly terrific work that goes there. We're going to talk about a topic that's obviously very near and dear to me, and that's learning and development. And I was very happy to see a lot of the conversations that happened earlier this morning in yesterday's sessions with regards to what does it really mean to have learning and development? What should we be doing to invest in people? I'm going to share with you a couple of ideas. I'm going to talk to you about the environment, the tough economic times, and what that's done over the last little while. Very interesting remark here. If you want to cut a leg off an organization for short-term gain, then cut back on training. But if you want your organization to continue to flourish during economic cutback, maintain training standards and levels. And this has never been truer. I was very happy yesterday in the session that we attended with James, and I believe it was Reem Al-Bakri from Xerox. She had gotten up and said that Xerox, during the tough economic times, didn't stop spending on training. In fact, they continued to do so and spent even more, which made them flourish and do exceptionally well during very difficult economic times. And not only did they do exceptionally well, but they ended up taking over some of the competition that's out there and the smaller players in their market. And it is a testament in what we do and how we invest in our people. Another such example, and this is from the CEO of Common Purpose in the UK. As economic storm clouds gather, many organizations cut their L&D budgets in a misinformed attempt to see them through the tough times. And this is very common. We'll touch on that in a few moments. Developing staff can wait, can it? At the end of the day, what's a year or two in people's lives? Well, the fact is, it can't. This kind of policy tells your staff, your people, that you simply don't care enough to develop them, don't care enough to invest in them. And that's not the message any company obviously wants to send out there. This is a recent study that was done. It was about a year ago. 73% of companies agreed that businesses who invest in training are less likely to fail. Now, we hear this, yet we see that during tough times, companies, obviously, there's an overall business requirement to reduce costs. So while we think and we say 73%, if we invest, we're not going to fail or we're less likely to fail. Yet even with that in mind, we see that the first step we want to do, times are rough, budgets are tight, we've got to make sure that the numbers look good, the financials look good, we start to cut costs. Of course, there's also an anticipated decrease in business. So panic starts to set in. What if we don't make our quotas? And there was mention of targets and so on. When your sales team's not bringing in numbers, you start to panic and figure, we don't have the same turnover. And obviously, the first place to go is training and travel. These are the easy ones. Developing people and the need to go out there and reach the market that we want, we start to cut back in that area there. Now, why do we want to train during tough times? If we know that that's the case, and we know that 73% of companies truly believe that they're less likely to fail if they were simply to invest in training and development of their people. It's very simple reasons. The first of which is staff retention. You know as much as I do that your people stick around when they feel that you invest in them. Today is a very different environment than where we were 2 and 3 years ago and 5 years ago. 3 years ago, you might have been easy. It was very easy for you to throw money at employees. You wanted to keep them around. You give them a bit of a salary increase. You give them bonuses. It was very nice for us to do that. Today, the numbers aren't exactly there. We don't have the budgets that we used to have. So the notion of simply throwing money at people doesn't necessarily fit the bill. So we start looking at alternatives. And one of those alternatives becomes training and development. One of the divisions within our sister companies is an executive search firm. And one of the things that we're often asked by the candidate is they're telling us, what's my career development path like? Is there one? Before they accept the offer, while we're in the negotiating process for them, they want to know, is there something like that on the table? The money's good, and they're looking for that, don't get me wrong. They still want a nice salary, they want nice income, but they also want to know, what else are you doing for me? You see, ultimately, we don't want to be viewed as a company that doesn't care. We all want to be that company that cares, that goes above and beyond expectations, that people feel that I belong there. It's really phenomenal to hear. I'll refer to Majid again with regards to BA Systems. He's talking about if you slice him open and you assess his blood, it's in his DNA. And that was based on his values. Well, very much the same, you want your staff feeling that value of the company, that they become loyal to you and the retention is there through difficult times and good times. 2 years ago, when the market went sour and economy started to hurt, I'm sure we can bring back up Monster and find out how many more CVs went online. How many more searches started to occur. People started to panic. They started to look for alternative options. They were fearful that you might let them go. Therefore, that desire to retain has to come from how you care for them, what you're willing to do to make sure they stay around with you. Labor hoarding is a very good reason too. We heard an excellent example yesterday, and I believe it was CCC that during the tough times, rather than simply cutting people off, they wanted to retain the image of the company and bring them back when times were better. And they put them on leave with reduced pay or opened the door to come back in good times with bonuses. What a terrific example of a concept of hoarding your people to keep that quality employee around. So when it comes to training on the other side, this is what we do. That the more you invest in your people, the more they feel obligated to stick around. And we'll talk about the reasons why people might leave or excuse me, what happens after they're trained in a minute. Upskilling or reskilling prepares you for the recovery and the upturn. Whether we like it or not, the bad times don't last forever. Sooner or later, something has to change. The economy turns around, people get more excited, they become more creative, they find ways to make money, they find ways to grow your businesses for you. You want these people ready and prepared for you. Interestingly, with that in mind, 57% of companies said that they train to upskill. And this is a very important point. The idea of upskilling is part of a long-term strategy. Today, you don't invest in your people to reskill them or retrain them, but you rather do so you can make them better human beings, better people, better functioning at their jobs. And this is where this comes from, is the need to invest in upskilling in the people to make sure that the value that they're providing for you is 5, 10, 20 times their worth to an organization on an annual basis. Now, the benefits are very simple, and they certainly are to me, and I'm sure to many of you. One, we want to retain our top talent.